So someone in the comments said they want more info on component-based objects. So I'll give my perspective in, I don't know, a bit of a higher level concept. So most object-oriented programming is based on like an inheritance hierarchy. So you might have an object that is a vehicle, and then you might have a child object from that that is a car, and then you might have a child object from that that is a race car, and you might be making a racing game. Now, this race car inherits many properties such as physics and wheel numbers and how it drives and all that kind of stuff from its parents, right? But the car itself, like the race car itself, it has some unique properties, like it goes fast and it's not street legal, and might look a certain way. Now this can run in, like, this is great, and to be honest, this is still how I program, is using the inheritance model, but that's, I don't know, I'm trying to break that habit. But that can run into some problems, and a big problem can be, let's say you're making a racing game and you want there to be computer controlled cars like AI and human controlled cars. Well, now you need to split race car into two children, one that's AI controlled and one that's not, or I mean, that doesn't really make much sense. Like, maybe the control should be higher, like the controls of a car should be the same on a higher level, so maybe that should be a vehicle component, but then you'll have two separate branches of the family tree. So it gets kind of messy and kind of confusing. And then, just to make it sound even more confusing and more messy, what happens if after you win your race the car continues driving? Like, you know how it goes, like it says like you win, and then your car continues racing around the track. Well, that kind of switches to AI mode. So how do you switch two unrelated objects to a different control mode? So I mean, it's definitely possible, and I've done things like this, but it's hard to do with the inheritance model, and there's some problems with the inheritance model, and that's just a good demonstration of it. The component-based model basically says you have a square block, that's it, and this square block has wheels, it has a steering wheel, it looks like this, it has keyboard controls, and it has a name, race car, right? It's a component-based model. So instead of inheriting all the properties and controls and styles, you sort of tack them on like plugins or like components, right? So you just keep adding components onto your objects. So and in good implementations of this system, I mean, a bad implementation is just you cut and paste code into the class, but that's a bad way to do it. You can make a generic function that's just a keyboard handler for cars or something, or you can just make physics plugin, or you can just make a honk the horn plugin or something like that. And in a good implementation, it's really easy at runtime to add and remove components from each vehicle. So in the previous example, it's really easy to remove the keyboard puzzle piece from your car and replace it with an AI puzzle piece in real time. And this makes it really easy, because once you've made like a few dozen games, and this is why jam games are so awesome, I think, you'll quickly build a vast library of different components, and if written nicely enough, if written, generally enough, you should be able to use and expand on each of those components for the rest of time. Now, if you want to get really fancy, you can even start adding components to get like really customized. But anyway, just my brief reading on the subject, that's my conclusion of it, that's my summary. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's how I looked at it. I've tried writing a single game. Oh great, they started squirting my window with water. I've tried writing one game using this method, and I kind of failed just because it's not quite, my head's not quite there yet. I don't have enough practice, but I'm still very excited about using it, and I'd love to hear any downsides. Does anyone know of any downsides of the component-based model? I hear it takes a bit more work to get it up and running, but in the long run, saves you a lot of time.